Hey guys, Footy Focus podcast episode 20. So we'll review week one of finals and preview week two.
Yeah, hey guys. It was a good opening week.
Yeah, all close games.
Yeah, it's a record. It was for week one of the finals. I think it was the lowest aggregate margins since the final eight began.
Yeah.
36 points. They kept getting closer and closer. And had the thriller on Saturday night. But 3 out of the 4 were upsets.
Yeah, I think I went 1 for 4 for tipping, so I probably should have tipped some more upsets.
Yeah, I think I was 2. So, but it was it was unexpected really, because the year has been pretty poor, to be honest, in terms of quality and watching. Yeah, but they've turned it around. Like maybe it's just because of all the good they're playing. So that was a great first 4 games, and yeah, you can kick off the reviews with Port.
Yeah, so Port, it's a 58 versus 42 versus the Cats. So first finals win since 2014. Thought Sam Powell-Pepper set the tone in the first quarter, 5 clearances in that quarter alone. Doesn't play much midfield these days, but yeah, did that in the first quarter. Story of the night was
Powell-Pepper doesn't play midfield, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't. I think he normally goes in for a few centre squares, but I think because he kept getting clearances, they played him more in that first quarter.
Half forward.
Yeah, he's normally half forward. So 5 in the first quarter. Didn't do much after that, but I mean that's part of finals, just to play a role.
Probably because of the bigger body. Like he probably wanted a bigger body.
Yeah, I think so. I think his body's perfectly suited to finals and wet weather football and all that. So the story of the night was probably the Cats' inaccuracy. Hawkins male culprit. So 6 set shots, 5 behinds. I think only 2 were easy. Got pushed wide to the boundary. So I'm not sure whether that's Port's defense or probably the pressure upfield.
Mm-hmm.
And Mackenzie was the matchup, which was probably the third in line. Again, we backed the pressure upfield. And it was probably only a handful of one-on-ones where Mackenzie did get exposed. So bit from that point of view, but I think Hartlett went back a fair bit. I think he took 4 intercept marks deep in the third, so you pretty much didn't see Hawkins and Mackenzie one-on-one.
Like Mackenzie's giving up a fair bit of size, yeah.
Yeah, well, that he's the strongest one-on-one in the club, and I think Jonas probably is better, but I think they liked Jonas being a third man up and playing on danger up forward. So no one can match the strength of Hawkins anyway, one-on-one.
Yeah, there was an article about that saying Mackenzie might be on it. So it was surprising, but it paid off. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's good to be on the other end of another team being inaccurate in finals. Cats midfield probably dominated that second quarter, but they went into the halftime break 1 point down, so just didn't take advantage of it. Moment of probably the game was danger. Tried to bully past Darcy Byrne-Jones, and he got pinged by Robbie Gray for holding the ball. So probably the moment of the match. Halftime,
I'm sure you'll get into it later, but that wasn't a moment of the match for me. There was a different one, but you can continue.
Okay, tell me which one that is. I think I might have an idea, but
yeah.
So Kenyo, the midfielder, huge serve in the break, and then Boak Wines and Rockcliffe probably had quieter first half and then stepped up after that. So the pressure gauge in that third quarter was 218 versus 185. So that's elite versus average. So that was probably the turning point in the match. And Port's pressure was pretty elite, plus 18 tackles with possessions pretty even.
What were the main tacklers? Was it the Rockcliffe, I think, was up there? And with 9 tackles.
Yeah, Rockcliffe, Wines, Powell-Pepper early on, and then probably the Smalls in the front half. Desmond got concussed going back with the flight. Probably unlucky not to be paid the mark against Blitzars. Got ruled out for the match.
I didn't see that live, but I watched that part of the game again, and watching it live, it looked like I thought Dersma marked it. It looked like Dersma marked it. The replay showed maybe they both had a bit of it, but I don't think it was a clear mark.
Yeah, I don't think there's a rule where you can just go, ball it up. I think it's either one guy gets a mark, the one that's in front I think there should be a rule where it's just a jump, not a jump ball, but a ball up. So they probably both had hands on it,
right,
at some stage.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, very courageous, and no doubt it would have inspired the team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got. I think you saw Ken pointing him out in the post match as well. So
yeah. Everyone gave him a pat on the back. And Marshall, I think it was.
Yeah, so Marshall was the other one. So he had a big shoulder knock early on. Probably couldn't lift his arm for the first few minutes after that, but he came back on and kicked that clutch 50-metre set shot, and didn't really lose contest. He brought the ball to ground, so that's kind of his role. And I think he'll keep playing. Hopefully, if his scans come back, okay.
So the moment of the game for me was the Butters, how he dove into the clash to win the contested ball against about 3 other Cats players, and he hand passed it over the top to Motlop, who knocked it on to allow him to snap the goal. Yeah, that was pretty impressive, and I think the moment of the finals so far.
Yeah, he had a pretty quiet first half, and I said last week he's probably a finals player, and he did step up. I think Cats were only down 7 points at that stage, so that was pretty much straight from the centre clearance. Probably questionable coaching too. Like at that centre clearance, I think it was Duncan, Atkins, and Dalhouse in the centre square, and Danger was still up forward. So I think from there up 13 points, and then Marshall kicked the last goal. So he probably missed a bit of a trick there, not playing probably Selwood, Danger, and Duncan in that centre square instead of.
Yeah, that was a funny one. Like, I understand if Selwood's a bit injured or like he's coming back from injury, but it was weird that Dangerfield wasn't there. And then you had the B graders in there for an important clearance. It didn't make sense, but maybe that's just the rotations.
Yeah, I think your boy Motlop was probably nearly best on in that first half, 3 goals. And then Dixon as well didn't take a mark, but he didn't get outmarked at all, and he led to a few goals just from halving contests.
Yeah, and you reckon Ollie Wines was the best on ground with his 24 and 5 clearances?
Yeah, I thought he was. I think Hartlett and Motlop have got votes, but yeah, he probably second most metre gained, and he had a lot of clearances where probably people would be holding the ball or just wouldn't get the ball out. So for the Cats, I think Parfitt and Henderson were best. Danger was always good, but they left him to do too much. Rowan's a no-show again in final. I think five touches again.
Yes, not good. Him and Myers is young, but I think Rowan. I think if the Cats don't make the grand final this year, I think you got to move on from guys like Rowan and who else is there? Maybe Harry Taylor's just about.
Yeah, and Harry Taylor was just exposed for speed as well. So obviously Cats 4 out of 16 finals and 1 out of 7 qualifying finals since the 2011 flags. I think Scott needs to own up to that instead of attributing it to lazy journalism. I think that's what he said in the post match.
Yeah, they could potentially do something like what you guys did with their list. Maybe retire all the old players and then reboot it with the young ones. But they just might not have enough top end talent to push them through into premiership contention. I can see them not winning the grand final this year and finishing 3rd, 4th, or 5th.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's probably the year to do it is now because they've got the 3 first rounders from Kelly, 2 plus 1, their own, and then they've got another first rounder next year, I think. So it's definitely the year to do it, probably.
Well, next year's first rounder will be theirs, I think, because they would have got last year's first round.
Yeah. Love a few, so move on.
So you slept okay on Thursday night?
Yeah, it was good. I lost my voice shouting at the TV, so it was good win, but probably not as happy as after the Friday's result. So you can review that one. I thought the Tigers would get up.
Yeah, I think you should be happy because I think this makes it harder for Richmond to get to the grand final. I mean, Richmond's a quality team, so you'd back them to still make it, but then that means they'd have to go through Port. So you're probably nervous about them getting through to the prelim. Is that what you're
Yeah, I'd hope to play them in the grand final, but that's fine. I think we can back ourselves either way.
You guys would have gone in confident, regardless if it was Richmond or Brisbane. You didn't beat Richmond there earlier this year.
Yeah, we did, but they were pretty undermanned, missing I think 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so this game was great. I was really looking forward to it, and this was a replay of last year's qualifying final where Brisbane started last year's one well as well, but they just kept missing. They were inaccurate, and Richmond just punished them early. This year, they changed that around, so they were accurate, and they looked hungry and looked on from the first bounce. While we're on bounces, do you think we should just get rid of the bounce?
Yeah, I heard a debate on the Footy show. I think maybe do the first bounce to start the game with the guy that can bounce it the best, and then just scrap it. To that.
You saw Chris Scott have a go at the umpire during halftime.
Yeah. Well, it didn't really damage any team. So
it didn't, but it was just annoying. It's
strange.
Yeah. I think. Okay. So back to the game. The first goal was Rich, just a 50-meter bomb after receiving the hand pass of McCluggage. So you can see from the Tigers' point of view, they were defensively not switched on, because how could they leave Rich?
He was open for like at least 10 seconds before he had the ball.
Yeah, so I think that was inexcusable, and that sort of crept into their game. But the line started well, but they did. Richmond did fight back. So at halftime, Brisbane was 7 goals to 2. And you reckon that gave him like a psychological edge?
Yeah, I think because the last 2 times against the Tigers, I haven't been them 15 matchups, so definitely to go in at I think 7 goals to 2, definitely a big edge for them. So what happened towards the back end of that second half? Because it was like I think a few points of difference, and it blew out. Yeah,
I mean the first quarter was interesting. Go back to that because Martin started like a house on fire and he was in everything, like tap on, everything. They kicked 4 goals to 3, and then Neil was on the other side, touchless. He didn't get the ball in the first quarter, but halftime rolled on, and again it was pretty competitive till about the 5-minute mark, 5 minutes to go, and then Brisbane banged on 3 goals in a row, and there were 2 of them were pretty good, like opportunistic goals. One of them was from Rayner. He was running on the run from 60, and then there was a vacant goal square, so he just bombed it and it went through, which was pretty inspiring. And Cameron got dangerous at the stoppage. Did you see that goal? That was a pretty good goal because Grimes was on.
Yeah, Grimes had the wood on him, so it's good he kicked I think 3 in the end, so it was good to.
Yeah, like when that throw-in happened, I was like, watch for Cameron here. And then right then he was able to go around. I think Short was on him because Grimes was on the bench. And they kicked that. And then they gave away a couple of 50-meter penalties at the very end of the quarter, the second quarter. And that resulted in Neil kicking a goal from 50, which gave them the momentum going into the second half. So the third quarter, they played well again, and it was only the last quarter where Richmond sort of fought back, but it was sort of too little, too late. But it did keep them in it because just for that psychological factor, we thought that here we go, Richmond are going to come over the top and pinch it, especially after Brisbane missed a few. So in the second half, McCluggage had a chance to dribble one through, and Ross Berry missed an easy goal.
So who were I guess the lesser likes for the Lions who were?
Yeah, I thought Starcevich had a good game. He's really looking good. Like he's big and strong and athletic and uses the ball well. So I think he doesn't get enough credit, but he's a good decision maker and an important part of their team. I see he plays a bit like Hayden from our team, Karen Hayden. So, if he can model his game on Starcevich, I think he'll be a good player. Guys like Cameron for his pressure. I mean, not Cameron, Coleman for his pressure. Stay was a strong target. I think it took a couple of contested marks and kicked it all. And Bailey for his speed were other sort of lesser likes dominate, apart from the Lions and who else was good? The skipper Soccer. So it was a bit fumbly early on, and not the best. Didn't have the best day, but it was still pretty good. And Mug Luggage was probably the best on ground with 20 possessions and 10 contested, which is pretty good for an outside player.
And that goal late in the piece as well to seal.
The seal up, he snapped it with a couple of Richmond players around him, which was, tops off a good day. Andrews was good again. He came back. It looked like he hadn't missed a beat. He's got a long reach, so he just gets his fist into like everything.
Yeah, I think Rewalt missed Lynch a lot as his wingman because Andrews pretty much shut out Rewalt, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He was pretty much on Rewalt, and Marston was unsighted after the first quarter. I think Gardner took him when he went forward. In the midfield, I didn't quite notice who was on him, but they managed to keep him to, I think, 11 possessions for the 3 quarters. And Bolton was good again. Did a couple of undisciplined things, but I think him and maybe Short were the good players. But otherwise, Tigers, they panicked towards the end. I think they were just trying to win and kick the ball out on the full. And, so massive upset, and I think Brisbane will be full of confidence and roll into the prelim and looking to book a home grand final.
You think they're the flag favourites now because they get to stay at the GABBA for the rest of the season?
Definitely. I think even Sportbet, have them at $4, and I think you guys are at $4.40. I think it makes sense for the preliminary final hosts to be 1 and 2, but you wouldn't count Richmond out. So Hawthorn did it the hard way for one of their premierships. So Richmond, albeit different circumstances, will have to do that again.
Brisbane and the Hawks did it on their way to the third flag. So hopefully it doesn't repeat itself this year. But
right,
legacy, yeah.
All right, cool. We might move on to the Pies and Eagles game.
Yeah, so probably the game of the season. Didn't expect it to be so good. So saw Mason Cox at quarter time and kicked 3 goals, and then I did watch back the goals, and it was not pretty similar to the Tigers, just standing tall and just outmarking everyone. So Barras and McGovern couldn't lay a hand. So whoever's saying it's a fluke in 2018, he's done it again in a final. So
maybe he's a final specialist. He doesn't do much during the home and away season. I think he's one of those players. They're not doing much. They look pretty average, but when they do what they are good at, then they look unstoppable.
Yeah, he's been building the last probably 3-4, even against Port, the last match before finals. He took 2 or 3 contested marks. So I think between him and Cameron, they took 7 between them contested. So talk about Taylor Adams. So he's just cemented why he's an All-Australian. That finals game-saving smother on. I think it was Cole late in the piece. So bit of similarity to, I think, was it Fraser Brown or Wallace in the 99 prelim, that holding the ball tackle? Bit similar to that, but
which Brown is talking about? Jonathan Brown?
Fraser Brown in 99 prelim. Was it Blues and Dons?
Oh, right. I can't remember. I just remember the who's that player running through the Murphy? I think that's the only part I remember. Yeah,
Murphy holding the ball up at the end. Maynard and Ryan were probably the match-up to watch the whole day. So bit of showboating by Ryan, and I think Maynard didn't lose any friends. He was pretty serviceable through the whole night.
Apart from one little mistake, I think he tried to play on from the pocket and stuff that up. Otherwise, Ryan was probably the Eagles' best. He was just dominant up in the air, and he's just a gun.
Yeah, Darling as well. Like every time I saw Darling, he seemed to take a mark or bring the ball to ground. So I thought he exposed Moore as well, because I think it was Kennedy on Roughhead. So Moore probably had one of his poorer games. But it's good that they can still win when Moore doesn't have a great game and Darling.
I think contested marking was definitely a theme for the whole round. Maybe except your game. I don't know if there were too many contested marks.
No, not too many, but not too many.
But the other the other three had a lot.
Yeah, you talk about it with Saints and Dogs because that was the main game there. Eagles, the only strength I think the whole season has just been the goals from centre clearances. So 5 again on the weekend. That's I guess obviously due to you down to Nick Nat. It was probably just the Pies' day in the end with I think Mycha kicked a left foot.
That was an amazing goal. It was a bullet, on his opposite foot on the boundary. That was amazing. And then Dugoe backed it up with a snap.
Yeah, it was a snap from the clearance, so just from a really tight angle. And I think once those 2 goals were kicked, you kind of knew that Pies were going to win. Probably brings into question the Eagles because they obviously, I think, lost 3 in a row early on. Probably whinged a bit too much about the hub when every team had to go into a hub the whole season. So I think they more than made up for it. Like they had 7 games in a row at Optus, so maybe 6 in a row. So it's balanced out. They had all the advantage too. Yeah, I mean, they were able to sleep in their beds and spend time with their families. I think Pies were away from their families in the hotel, so no excuse really.
They had to be like in campervans and stuff. Do you think the paper? I think the West Australian or one of their papers labeled them dirty Pies. Do you reckon they regret doing that?
Yeah, it's always in hindsight, but it definitely did. Like you don't want to add ammunition to a team, but the paper's job is not to look after the Eagles. The paper's job is to sell papers. But I mean the Pies. I mean Pendlebury brought it up in the post match, and he doesn't really, say anything unpolitically correct. So you could. So I was going to ask you, do you reckon the Eagles gave up too much for Kelly because he had I think only 12 touches and 2 clearances? They're giving up 3 first rounders I think in total.
Yeah, I mean he's had a poor year. Like in the normal season, like without COVID and playing 11 games there, if you have Yo and Shuey all fit, I think Kelly could have still been like a top 10 Brownlow sort of player, but it hasn't turned out that way, and maybe it was a bit of a risk paying 2 or 3 first rounders or whatever they did for a player with just 2 years of football, AFL football, also for like 40 gamer or 45 gamer. Probably did overpay a bit, so especially because he's a mature age player, right? So he's got 25, 26 next year, so only got like 4 or 5 good years left.
When you do that, when you do things like that, like you should be going out first week in the finals. At least you should be getting to a prelim or a grand final. So that's what I asked. But
so you'd expect them to top up a bit, maybe look for some ready-made players because you never know what's going to happen next year with Kennedy, Hearn. They might cop an injury or and then once they go, then they're in a bit of trouble. Just to wrap this game up, Greenwood I think did a terrific job on Kelly. Was able to tag him out like you've noted. And I think even offensively, Levi did a pretty good job getting the ball and breaking tackles and moving it forward. And I don't think he's contracted for next year. So if Kangaroos are looking for like a big-bodied, experienced player just to guide the younger kids through, I think wouldn't mind having Levi back at the club.
Yeah, he's had a good record at the ready. He might get pushed out if Moore and DeGoey re-sign for too much dollars.
Yeah, and especially like with the Roos, if we're getting rid of like the McMillans and who else, like Browns, who have that Shinbourne culture sort of with them, and then we're looking to recruit new players. I think it would be good if you get people who were North Melbourne people back, just for that history and just to educate the young kids rather than getting recycled players from other clubs. So we might touch on that a bit later. But I think he's still got another couple of good years in him, even though he's 30.
Not too old. So probably the second best game in the round, the Saints and the Dogs. You watched that?
I did. I watched this. I think I watched most of it. So I listened back to our podcast from last because I wrote surrounded of things to listen to. And then I noticed I tipped the Saints to win, whereas you went with the safe option and tipped the Dogs. So this is the one that I got one up on you on the tips. So stuff like that. This is a really good game. I thought it was probably the most even game and the hardest to tip. And yeah, both teams, they started off pretty well. I think they were pretty even to half time. And yeah, it was the third quarter where the Saints sort of broke it open. If the Dogs had have won, I think it would have been robbery, because I think the Saints were the better team for most of the game. And the Dogs got 3 or 4 goals from free kicks, and some were a bit questionable as well.
Yeah. Probably the last 10 minutes where they dominated.
Yeah, they came back hard. Like, I think Caleb Daniel got a controversial free kick. Hunter kicked one. Yeah, so that was a good effort by the Saints, and their recruits all played well. Like, Hill did a few nice things. Hanbury was one of the most important players from a couple of years ago. Howard was really good, like strong in the contest, took 2 contested marks. And who else did they have? Butler. He didn't get much of the ball, but he was buzzing around. He kicked almost a sealer, really, in the last quarter. And who else did they get? And Jones was pretty good too. His speed was important. Norton was unsighted for most of the first half. He had the helmet on, so yeah.
He looks a bit different. I saw that in the pre-match too, but he's had a bit of an uninterrupted. Like, he had 2 big injuries, hasn't he?
Yeah,
bone and then the hamstring, I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, he's so promising, but you want him to, be durable, because the last thing they need is a tall player who's inconsistent.
Yeah, they don't have many tools anyway.
Yeah, do you think he should play back and target the forward in the trade period? Because that was like they targeted Bruce, but Bruce hasn't worked out. Yeah. I think half of his goals he kicked this year came against the Kangaroos.
Yeah, I like Norton up forward just because he's that point of difference. Like, his contested marking's just out of this world nearly. Bruce is the one they got to watch, because
astronaut. Because he's the astronaut.
I didn't realise that, but no, I think Bruce got to give more support, because he's not your number 1 tool. He's your number 2, and he hasn't stepped up at all this season and justified it.
Yeah, and they were sort of a bit undersized and inexperienced down back as well. I mean, Zane Gordy went off, and I think he was the most experienced out of their tall defenders, because otherwise they've got Keith, who hasn't played that many games, and Gardner, who was I think he was a mid-season draftee.
Yeah, mid-season.
Yeah, Max King, even though he's only played like 20 games, was able to take advantage of that, and he's shown that he could be a finals type player. Took 4 contested marks. I think they were all in the first half.
Yeah.
A couple of goals.
Yeah, just huge for a second year. Second year player. Is he a first year player nearly, right? He didn't really play last season, so.
Yeah, it was his ACL last season. So yeah, to come back from an ACL, as an 18-year-old, could have had 3. I think he missed a snap, which would have been pretty good. And yeah, Ryder was the other one that was amazing. One of their recruits, probably the best on ground. He gave the Saints first use out of the center. Was he? Because I don't know if it was because of him or just the midfielders reading his tap well and Bulldogs not. But every time the center clearance, it felt like Saints would win it, and they did win it 12-8. But was Ryder a pretty good center clearance for Ruckman?
Yeah, I mean that's why he got All Australian in 2017 report. So he's probably the second best tap ruckman to Nick Nat. I think those two are daylight ahead of the next best.
Yeah, and for a 33-year-old, he's amazing. So, unfortunately, he did his hamstring at the end, so he'll miss the rest of the final series. The skipper Guiri was inspirational as well. I think he got the job on Daniel to keep him accountable at halfback, but he was also good offensively. So he took a couple of contested marks on Daniel and kicked a couple of goals and gave one off as well.
Yeah, it's good. I think I think that's the number one thing you do when you play the Dogs: shut down Daniel or shut down Janison. So
Loney and Sinclair were busy. They weren't dominant. Like, I think their best midfielders were probably still like the Steels and Ross, those sort of guys. But those smalls were pretty crafty as well. And Clark and Caulfield, they had a great first final as well. They did some impressive things. Caulfield with his contested intercept marking, and Clark just with his poise. I think they were really, very positive. So yeah, they'll go into next week's game with some confidence, and we might review that. So the first elimination final. This one's at Metricon. Do you reckon Richmond? They had the option to choose the venue. What do you reckon?
I understand because they're unbeaten in Metricon, but I mean, grand finals at the GABBA. So yeah, I don't know why they're not playing at the GABBA, but I mean, time will tell if they win. It's justified.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual one because I would have thought, the GABBA as well would have been the obvious choice, just because I don't know how good the Saints are at the GABBA or Metricon, but I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. But yeah, so Richmond got to choose, and last time these two teams met, St Kilda won by 26 points. So that was it's a comfortable win. So this was at Marvel. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah, round 4.
Yeah, so the Saints kicked they kicked 4 of the first 5 goals. So do you think they'll need to do something similar to get to be sort of any shot in this?
Yeah, I think you got to start. Yeah, definitely got to start. You got to be in front. I think at quarter and half time to have some belief anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Howard would probably want to get the better of Lynch. I think without Carlisle there, he'll go to Lynch, and maybe a Wilkie or a Battle might go to Reed. But in the midfield, I think that's where the game would be won and lost. Do you reckon Martin and Bolton are the two that would be shut down?
Yeah, they're the points of difference. Like you wouldn't tag Cochin, but yeah, you've got to tag Martin. Like he got let loose, like you were talking about, against the Lions. So maybe Steele is that matchup, maybe as a bigger voice.
Yeah, I think Steele and Ross are the two sort of negating for the midfielders. So one of those two might go to them. Seb Ross had 6 tackles, and so did Steele. So they're both tackling machines. So I'd put both of them onto Bolton and Steele and lock down on them. But they've got a deep midfield, Richmond, so you need to lock down on, maybe keep it accountable Prestia and guys like Lambert. You'd expect them to bob up.
Who do you think Geary goes to? Because he normally shuts down. I think half back.
Yeah. So if he doesn't play the back line and he goes forward, you could play a defensive forward role on a Hooley maybe, even a Jaden Short get the Geary tag. So that'd be an interesting one. So it's a good weapon for him to have. And Carlisle, do you reckon? So he's not going to play this game. I don't know if he can come back and play.
I think he's out. So I think his partner's back in Melbourne. So to come back in 2 weeks, right? Yeah, you're ruled out.
Third baby though. Do you reckon? Right call. Couldn't do it on Zoom.
You can't blame him, but I mean, the Lee Matthews unprotected sex in January. Like it's the finals are in October. The finals are in October this year, so you can't blame the players.
Doesn't count. Yeah, 100%. Maybe they weren't planning on St Kilda making it this far, because otherwise maybe she could have come over to Queensland. I don't know. Again, the ruck battle. So this is another sort of point of difference where having Ryder might have given the Saints more confidence. Do you reckon Marshall can take care of Nang on his own?
Yeah, he's done it before. Like I think in the last game, I think he played by himself, and he does have a great record rucking by himself. But yeah, you'd want Ryder because the two of them kick 2 goals between them, and have 30 possessions and 10 clearances. So it's a big loss, but I'd back Marshall to step up.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm backing Marshall to get the better of Nang Davis. Yeah, in the ruck battle. And who's their second ruck? Is it King? I don't know who normally goes in.
Yeah, it's probably.
It would be right. Yeah, Max King.
And then Chol on the other side.
Yeah, Chol might be the one that loses his spot to Lynch. Yeah, so Yeah, I reckon Max King could stamp his authority in this game. Maybe take a few more contested marks, like Mason Cox did, and if he can, might go a long way. So, Tigers are going hot favorites for this game and probably should win. But I might, just give an interest in back the Saints, to knock off the Tigers and meet you guys in Amy Stadium. I mean, not Amy Stadium. What's it called now?
Adelaide.
Yeah. What do you reckon? Saints will get through?
I think the Tigers, but I'll definitely be barracking for the Saints.
Okay. All right. You can give us your 2 cents on Cats Pies.
Yeah, so I think all the pressure's on the Cats this game due to their finals record. It's definitely a better prep for the Dirty Pies. They get to not the hard quarantine for 2 weeks. Get to spend the week with their families too. So I think that'll be better for them. Last time to go was a match winner with 5. So the Cats defense is a bit slow. There's no real obvious matchup. Maybe Buse. I'd probably play Blitzars on him because I think he's got the speed and the athleticism to match him. Cox, whether he can dominate in the air again versus Taylor and Henderson. Darcy Cameron, whether he plays again. He played, I think, 46% game time and Grundy 63%. So interesting to see if they go with the 2 ruckmen again.
Interesting tactic, having Cameron go up against Nick Nat and taking the start of the quarters and
Even that last clearance, I think, with 1 minute 17 left, it was Cameron versus Nick Nat with Grundy on the bench. So I mean, it worked out. Taylor's got the clearance, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I think Danger will have. I think this is the week where Danger normally has that match-winning performance. Whether Maynard can stop him up forward. Maybe Pendlebury normally goes to the most dangerous midfielder inside, so whether they can shut him down. If I was the Cats, I'd send Guthrie to Adams because I think Adams is their best midfielder pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Like their spiritual leader as well. So that's not a bad call. I agree with that. Menegola, who do you reckon? There'll be a good battle on the wings, probably.
Yeah, well, I think Dacos is probably a bit too small, but I'm not sure who they have really on the other wing that has the height because Menegola is quite tall for a mid.
Yeah, maybe I guess an Elliott or Jamie Elliott might get pushed up. Into that wing role. Who else? Greenwood might tag. Would he tag anyone? I mean, Danger.
It'd have to be Danger. Like you wouldn't tag Selwood. It's a bit hard to tag someone so inside. You wouldn't tag Duncan. Probably. Yeah, it probably is Danger.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I expect Hawkins to bounce back again. Yeah, I think he was inaccurate last week, but I think if he gets on the board early and gets some confidence up, I think Geelong will be pretty hard to stop. And I think just for pride's sake, I think they'll hear about all this talk about getting knocked out in straight to board. So I think the Cats have the ability, and I mean they're top 4 for a reason, right? So exactly. Bounce back and I think they'll win. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think Hawkins will have a big game, and I think Ablett should be played more forward because he was pretty much unsighted on the weekend. So I think playing forward because he's even with the limited tank and no prep really, he's got attributes there that can kick a few goals.
Yeah. Use him in bursts, I reckon, because he can still do the amazing, the brilliant. Yeah. He might not have the tank to push up the ground as much, but let him do his thing. Do you reckon Gary Roberts should hold his spot, or?
I wouldn't see him coming out. I think you got to play Mitch Close because they did lack a bit of pace on the weekend. And he's that precious small, so maybe it is close for Rowan. That's maybe a thing to watch.
I mean, he's been in the teams where they've won. Yeah, him and Simpson and even Fogarty, these guys. So, it'll be interesting to see the team. All right, it's a good summary of preview of that game. Might finish off with some kangaroo.
Yeah, there's not much bad news, but the Roos are always in the news these days. So you've got a new coaching ranks.
Yeah, so it looks like John Blakey's coming back to the club as a senior assistant coach to help Reece Shaw. So I think it was reported we were looking for Paul Roos to come and targeting him, but don't know if that's still happening. But John Blakey's definitely coming back down to Melbourne. So he's spent a good 14 years or something up in Sydney.
Yeah, that was a huge surprise because his son, obviously, Nick's playing with the Swans, and I think he's best mates with.
What is that? I don't know who that is.
What's that?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Nick?
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't like Nick. So he's chosen the Swans instead of the club. His dad played 200 plus games and had won 2 premierships for. But that's cool.
Brought up Nick.
If that's what the AFL want to have. Father sons playing for other teams like Paul Lacey, whatever his name is.
The Ram has begun. What do you think of Rawlings being let go? Because he was, I think it's in and out, isn't it? Rawlings and Blakey, but there's a few other assistants let go.
Yeah, well, Jade Rawlings, Brady Rawlings sacked his brother, so that's a brave call. But I'm happy Brady's making all these brave calls. So he got rid of 11 players off the Kangaroos list, put up Brown for trade. Higgins and Pollack could probably leave too. But on top of that, he's got rid of 6 or 7 coaches. Michael Fruto was one of them, and Heat Scotland, and the assistant coach Jade Rawlings. So, but I guess Jade, his resume wasn't as impressive as someone like Blakey's. Blakey coached in
college, yeah, for sure.
Yes, so I think putting some good people around Reece Shaw's definitely was required, and it's good that they've doing it this year and not waiting like another couple of years. Might have been
to stagger it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, no. Brought forward with COVID, but no, it's good. And trade value for Danaher, do you reckon he's likely to go to?
Yeah, I think that's been the talk the last few days, and it's pretty scary if Lions win a flag to add an All-Australian key forward. Like they've fixed up Lincoln McCarthy's body issues, like not body issues, but his body. So if they can do the same for Danaher, it's a huge addition, especially with Hipwood as well in the wings.
Yeah, that'll be scary. Yeah, and then you can have McStay as that swing man. But Danaher's the Lions seem like a good fit, and reports sounds like the Sydney Swans aren't interested anymore, so they might be targeting Cameron. But we'll see what happens. There's absolutely no trade news that's being leaked. You get a lot of speculation. Like Damien Barrett was just speculating about Goldstein leaving, but it's come out today that Goldstein wants to stay. So I think there's a lot of fishing going around.
Yeah, I think Higgins and Goldstein, even Ben Brown too. You probably think they go to one of the teams playing at the moment who aren't going to pick up players while they're still in the finals campaign. So you might see a bit.
I think St Kilda are linked with Brown. Higgins, he gets linked with Geelong continuously. If Geelong gets bundled out in the next game, then I think St Kilda might be a more attractive destination to play in. Deeper into September, even the Western Bulldogs too. Okay, that's about it from my end. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we'll call it there, and we'll have a couple of hopefully close games like last weekend. So hopefully no blowouts, because normally this is the weekend where you get blowouts.
Yeah. Some of the losers rebounding back, but
strong.
It's a weird year, so wouldn't be surprised. The underdog gets up. So, enjoy the third last week.
Last week,
See you guys.